Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Um, no, Jesse, by the way, I don't know if you're watching us live, but if you are and you want to jump in, we didn't. I just started the live recording. So, with that being said, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you may find yourself as you listen to this, and you are tuned in to another episode of the only sports podcast with brains and bars. It's a black and white thing with A Ward and A1. I am one half of the dynamic duo. I am A1. You can call me Carlos. You can also call me Dan. You can check out every episode of It's a Black and White Thing by going to the podcast provider of your choice, searching for either It's a Black and White Thing or Brains and Bars, all one word, Brains and Bars, and checking out the podcast there. Please subscribe, leave a comment if you are a Apple Podcast user. Leave a comment about the show. You can also follow us by going to any of the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. I posted something to TikTok. I believe, well, take that back. Not TikTok yet. We're not TikTok ready yet. I posted that to my personal TikTok page. I'm a little bit too old to be using TikTok, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, you can also check us out on YouTube where we are live right now. You can subscribe by searching for Brains and Bars. Subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can be notified of all upcoming episodes. Shout out to the homie Loso. I don't know if he's going to be able to join us tonight, but in his absence, you can check out Loso at everythingloso.com for our merch, gear, and let me. I don't do this show alone, as you know. You can also check out this young man by going to no, it's not. I am awardmerch.com and check out everything that he has going on. So I'm gonna bring him online. A Ward,
Yo,
what's good, my guy? Actually, let me
what's
switch that
going
up. All
on,
right, a
man?
little bit
What's
better.
going on? Cool,
Chilling,
cool,
chilling,
cool.
chilling, chilling. Can't complain. I mean, how was your day? Right, we'll start there. How was your day? Because I know a little bit how your night was last night. But how was your day?
Yeah, day was good, man. Day was good. Got a little bit of work done. Then had a little fun today. Played a little golf, and came home. Got the family in order. Got the pets all fed, and now I'm making chicken and doing a podcast at the same time. So,
Yes, sir.
but
Yes, sir.
yeah, productive, man. I think I'm gonna if I can catch some time, I think I'm gonna rearrange some stuff in the garage tonight because I took a little nap after golf, so I'll be up late. So
I
I'm
hear
gonna
that.
I'm gonna
I
do
hear
it.
that.
I'm gonna switch some stuff around in the garage, try and get some more stuff done. But yeah, no, it's been a good day. It's been a good day. It's a good night of college basketball. Got a few good NBA games on
Oh
today.
man, I forgot Carolina. I don't know if that game is it's just started or already or getting ready to start. It might be an 8 o'clock start for Carolina and
Yeah, Tennessee and KU both for 8 o'clock starts. So there's a
so
lot of. I feel bad for those 9 o'clock Eastern games. Eastern time zone games start at 9 o'clock during the week. That's wild.
bro, they who did they play? I feel like Carolina played a game that started at like 9 o'clock Eastern this past week. Then they had like a noon start for one. No, it wasn't even noon. It was like 11:30. It was eleven
Oh
thirty
yeah.
Eastern, 10:30 Central start for a game this was weekend. I'm just like, what is up with these start times? Like super
Yep.
weird.
Carolina's at Virginia. 8 o'clock.
Yeah. So yep, I was actually thank you. I was looking it up because I couldn't remember off the top
Yeah.
of my head. But yeah, like so, yeah, man. It's we got a good show. Obviously, we're gonna be talking I- NFL. Got the playoffs starting. We're gonna talk obviously about what's going on with that. And then last night, the national title game. Um,
He called the game. Is that we're referring to it as a game now?
I don't know what else you can refer to it as. I know a couple of things I could refer to it as, but this is a family podcast, so
A
um,
Ward versus Colossus. That's what we're.
oh man, hey, that's a good one. Like, yo, like what battles, like what can you
What bad?
equate that matchup to from a battle rap perspective? A Ward versus Colossus is definitely like high on that list.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was a rough one, man. That was a rough one. Like, I put on Twitter prior to the game, like a couple hours for the game. I'm like, look, man, Georgia by a minimum of 20, a minimum of 20. I did not see them tripling that, just about, and winning by almost 60. But that is indeed what happened. I mean, let's
I just
use
remember whenever Tennessee and Georgia played, there was a lot of Georgia fans saying like, "Yeah, Kirby Smart doesn't like run the score up." You know what I mean? Like the Georgia took their foot off the gas. You know, they knew they had Tennessee beat. I'm like, oh, where was that Kirby Smart last night?
Man, like me and you, shout out to Brian. He met us at the Brooksider to watch the game. I did. Right, we're in the spot. We could obviously see that there was a Georgia contingency in, like they were visible, right? They had on the Georgia gear. Did not see any TCU gear, but it was a very much pro TCU crowd in the bar last night.
Yeah.
They get the deep pass, they go crazy. They scored a touchdown like a couple of plays later, or maybe the next play. They erupt.
Yeah, it's like 10-7 or something like that, right?
It's 10-7, and that literally is the last time they cheered.
The last time we heard anybody.
They cheered when they came out, and that wasn't even like an enthusiastic cheer.
No, that wasn't.
You know, you had the one guy who was like the woo guy who was really loud with the woos when they came out. You had that long pass, that touchdown, and then literally nothing for the rest of the night. And it's just like there's a lot of criticism right now. TCU, they didn't belong to be there. This is why, you know, Big 12 sucks. And I don't think that is fair of TCU. I don't think that is indicative of the season that they had. They had a really good season. I get it, right? They were kind of like, they had this reputation as the cardiac kids, the comeback kids, winning a lot of games. And even that, I think, is not really fair to them. Because really the one game that was truly like a cardiac moment was the game against Baylor, right? Where they have the scramble drill at the end. Yeah. Where they come in and kick the field goal.
We do that all the time. We do it in practice all the time.
You know, a lot of those games were competitive games where they happened to be losing in the second half, but they were not faced. I think actually K-State might have been one of the largest deficits they faced all season long. It was a 10-point deficit in third quarter. They ended up come back and win that game. Actually, they won that game by 10 in the end. And so it's just like, I don't know, man. Like I feel like it's not fair to them to try to condemn them as somebody. As someone, first of all, let me say this, as a Notre Dame fan, as someone who has seen their fair share of blowouts in college football playoff games, let me extend my condolences. All right. You tried, you got blown out, but I think you guys had a good season, a great season. You made it this far. It just didn't end the way you wanted it to. Hart, I know you was trying to see that. Shout out to Dorsey.
Yeah.
Shout out to homie.
What's
Jesse.
up, Dorsey?
What's up, bro? Good to.
They needed Dorsey out there. TCU needed Dorsey out there. They really did.
They needed about 3-4 Dorseys.
They needed about 3 or 4 Dorseys.
Because it got ugly quick. And like, you know, I've seen
if you look at this though, TCU was in the Big 12 championship game.
Yep.
And Purdue was in the Big 10 championship game. Oof. TCU lost 65-7. Purdue lost to LSU 63-7.
And so I'll
and then you got K-State, who was in the championship game, who lost 45-20 to Alabama.
They
got the representatives. Hey, let's go, Dorsey. Let's go. Let's go.
That's what's up.
Wyoming. That's what's up.
Yeah, man. So, you know, like I feel bad for them dudes, man, because like now I will say this. I don't know if you saw the tweet, but there, I guess in post game, D Winters, who's their linebacker, one of the leaders of the defense, who was a beast against Michigan. Okay. He said post game that they didn't do anything special. And I'm like, listen, bro. Hey, listen, my guy. Even if like it was a bunch of coverage busts and things that you guys just did wrong schematically that opened up the door, they dropped 65 of them things on you, bro. You gotta tip your cap. Hey, salute them. You say that for the group chat. Like, you don't bring that out to the public. You say that with the homies, like, man, they ain't really do nothing really that crazy against
God did something special when he made all of them bigger, stronger, faster, smarter. It was God that did something special. Apparently not them.
bro, and I'm just like, you can't come out here and say that, my guy. Not that they dropped 65 of them things on your head, man. Like you
It
just
just felt
gotta.
like when the Looney Tunes first seen like the Monstars walk up.
man. I mean,
I
it's
think
just,
I think we said it when we were sitting down. It was like, yo, this dude's yelling. It's gonna be good for about a quarter and a half. And it was about like the 8-minute mark in the second quarter, and then you realize it's like 24-7. You're
man,
like, yep.
when they scored, when it went up. So I thought it was gonna get dark when they fumbled. I can't think of the young man. He fumbled.
Yeah, on the sideline.
On the sideline, it's what 7-0. They get down back into field. They get back into the red zone. They don't convert. They kick the field goal. It's 10-0. And I'm like, I tweeted out, I'm like, look, this is a must-score drive for TCU. They got to make it. They got to score a touchdown. They can't settle for a field goal. No 3-and-outs. They do get the touchdown to go down 10-7. And then when they went up 17-7, I was just like, yeah, this is not going. Yeah. The ease in which Georgia was going up and down the field. There were no 7-play drives. There were no 10 plays. It was 5 plays.
You're right. They did nothing special. They just did everything very easily.
I think what did Stetson Bennett say? Ruthless, cold, efficient. Like something about ruthless efficiency. And it was essentially what it was. It was ruthless efficiency. Up and down. Shout out to Mama Ward in the building, by the way.
What's up, Mama?
And so, like, man, I don't know, man. Like, I don't. There's really not a lot to analyze with the game. There's not a whole lot to talk about because of how bad it was. I do want to say this. Go ahead. You get ready to say something.
I was just gonna say, the one thing that I continued to show on camera to me is that Max Duggan is he's got a heart of gold, but to me, he's just not a good quarterback. Like, I mean, I know it's kind of hypocritical to say that of a team that's like, in the national championship game, willed their way to win a bunch of these games, made plays and stuff like that. But like at the end of the day, when you're playing a team like Georgia, like you got to have somebody under center that can make the throws and can get you there. And Max Duggan to me is just not. He's just not a very good quarterback. Man, I would call him a great player with a great heart.
I would with the brilliant personality. He's got a brilliant personality.
There you go. If I was Sonny Dykes, I'd say it's not me. It's not you. It's me. It's not you.
I mean, I guess the thing about Duggan is that, like, you're right. Like he's a decent college quarterback, right? Like he's not great. He's not trash per se. He's decent.
No.
The thing that has helped him, at least in this year, because he didn't even start the season. He didn't start the season as a starter. He was the backup. Got injured, and he stepped up, and he just never lost a job. The thing that really helped him in this year was that when they had to have it, he came through, right?
Yeah.
He leads them back against Baylor, that crazy game. Leads them back against K-State. He leads them back. He helps maintain the lead against I'm going to say Georgia. He helps maintain the lead against Michigan, right? When that game seemed like it was getting out of pocket, he was able to make things happen. The Big 12 title game, when they had to have those final 2 drives, right? I mean, he literally put him on his back to score the touchdown and the 2-point conversion to get the game into overtime. So, I mean, when they needed him the most, he came through, but it's just in quarters 1 through 3 where you would have liked him to play like that so that you wouldn't have to go and get it in those must-have moments. He didn't do it. So, and even then, like I forget, like their first drive.
Your family means everything to you. So when it comes to keeping them happy, you can trust CareNow for quality urgent care that's convenient. We're here.
Hey, if you need urgent care, CareNow's for you.
But my TV's back here, and like there's like a blue commercial. So I'm over here looking like an avatar while you're talking.
So, man, we just got 2. Hey, listen, James Cameron, CareNow, you can be sponsors of the show, by the way, just in case somebody get this to him, let them hear it. Like he never got it. He was never the guy, man. And I mean, I don't know. There's really nothing more to say about this. I will say this because I know Loso has been on this since the Final Four was announced. Shout out to the homie Jared Sanders. He's a person that I go back and forth with on sports topics and debates. He was saying, Bama should have been in there. TCU, when they lost the Big 12 title game, they should have fallen out of the top 4. And I'm like, no, like, here's the thing about this year. This year was just a bunch of flawed teams. It was a bunch of flawed teams. Bama, flawed. Ohio State, flawed. Michigan, while they went undefeated, flawed, in my opinion. They were a good team. They were not as good as the team that made it to the playoff last year. And even Georgia, I mean, Georgia, to me, was the best team all season. But even Georgia, they had games where they would look. Stetson Bennett was not good for most of the semifinal, right?
Yeah.
He stepped up when they needed it, but he was not good. And I still say this: if Marvin Harrison Jr. does not get hurt, I don't think they are in that title game. I think Ohio State is there. And so when TCU lost in the Big 12 title game, it was their first loss of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And they were of all the teams who could have vied for a top 4 spot at that point. USC had already lost again to Utah. You couldn't put them back in there. Bama, again, so Jared goes, well, they smacked K-State. TCU lost to K-State. And I'm like, well, yeah, they finally played to their potential. Everyone who was clamoring for Bama was clamoring for the tradition of Bama, not what they were on the field this year.
Yeah, but I mean, even in that, and we talk back and forth, like Tennessee smacked Clemson. I mean, Clemson was ranked higher than K-State. Clemson was the ACC champs, right?
Yes, they were.
Yeah, and so if you play the game of injuries, right? Like, well, we wouldn't put Tennessee in because they didn't have their starting quarterback or whatever. I might can understand that, but I mean, we still went with Michigan without their Heisman Trophy, running back, and so. Yeah. So yeah.
So I'll say this to kind of close the book on, Bama was the more deserving team. If they were the more deserving team,
no,
they would have won.
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. Not deserving. Now, I mean, I'd tell you up and down that I felt like Tennessee and Alabama could both beat TCU. I
agree with that. I agree with that.
I think that we're a touchdown favorite. But I mean that doesn't mean we were deserving of it. I don't know that some people view it as they want the top 4 teams to play each other, and some people view it as they want the top 4 teams that deserve to be there to play each other. You know what I mean? I don't know if you're from playing the eye test that TCU is a top 4 team, but from hey, we beat everybody we play. We have 1 loss, y'all have multiple losses. We deserve it.
So last thing I'll say. So if I know when I put my list together, and I think I might have said this last week, if I were on the committee, I would have pushed for Tennessee to be at least number 4 because of all the kind of flawed teams, if you will. I thought they had the best resume of anyone who could have vied for that 4th spot, right? Over Ohio. Well, I guess Ohio State because they only had 1 loss. But even then, I feel like their resume was still better than Ohio State's. More top 25 wins, better opponents that they beat. I hate to do the whole conference thing, but better conference. To me, Tennessee, I get it. They lost their QB. I get it. But to me, they still should have been in there. They don't. I think Brew McCoy still plays, right? Not Brew McCoy. I'm sorry. Jalen Hyatt plays if it's a playoff game.
Cedric Tillman still plays. Jeremy Banks, starting linebacker. Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, they would have been my 4th team. But to put Bama and TCU on a pedestal in terms of resume, TCU 5 top 25 wins, Bama 3. TCU 1 loss in the title game, which means they put themselves in a position to play
an extra game that Bama didn't have to play. Yeah,
Bama didn't have to play an extra game because they lost, and their loss to a 3-loss LSU team that was rebuilding, right? They were going through a bunch of changes with a new head coach, moving on from Ed Orgeron. And so it's just and to me, like I said, I think Bama did not play to their potential until they got to their bowl game. That was the Bama we thought we would see all season long. Versus Nick Saban saying, I mean, after they lost to Tennessee, he made some comment about they were scared. I have to go back and see if I can find a quote, but he said they were scared when they played Tennessee. And it's just no, the idea of Bama and in practice, there were 2 different things this year. And so, Bama, much respect to them, much respect to Saban. They were not a top 4 team this year. And it is what it is. And Ohio State has to be looking at themselves saying, we should have been dropping 65 because they should have beat Georgia. So, yeah, man, y'all let us know what y'all think.
I know. I think you're kind of anti-stretching the bracket out to 12 or whatever. But I do wonder if if it'll bring some clarity to teams that are playing their best football late, rather than some teams that might have taken a loss early in the season or whatever, and have climbed their way back in, because I think there's some teams that like Alabama or whatever. I think that they're playing some of their best football late, so maybe they get the chance to jump in there and play 2 or 3 games or whatever. But yeah, for the most part, no, they got the full right, as it pertains to record and what everybody was able to do at the end. But you're right. I mean, it was really Georgia and the rest of everybody else, and I feel like it was, Ohio State and Michigan are comparable. I think Ohio State's talent wise way better than Michigan or whatever. But, I think they were a comparable 2-3. And I think there was a little bit of a gap from Michigan and Ohio State to TCU. But then again, TCU beat Michigan. So, I mean, you never know what can happen.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't know if I sent this to you, but I was reading an article about TCU and stars, right? Ari Wasserman, who works for The Athletic, he works in college football, but he also works with recruiting side of things. And his big thing is stars matter, right? That's his motto, stars matter. And so they talked about kind of like the talent gap in between TCU and some of these other schools. Now, to be fair, I think TCU had 1 5-star.
Yeah. I can't remember. I saw the stat that said the last 4 years they averaged, I think, like 27th in recruiting. Over the last 4 years, their average, like finishing the year, was 27th in recruiting, and Georgia's was 2nd.
So here's the other part of the stat, though. Ohio State and I believe Georgia had 68 4- and 5-star recruits, or high tier recruits, and like 14 or 15 of them were 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, the reason, if people might have been shocked that Ohio State was able to compete with them at that level, it's because they have the talent. TCU, which has done a good job in the portal, and like you said, they do what they can, right, for their position. 27th isn't terrible, but there's a huge gap in between 27 and 10, 5, and then 1, which is where Georgia and Ohio State and those other schools. Because I feel like Michigan is somewhere like top 15 in terms of recruiting. And so, again, like, the fact that they were able to make it this far, it does give those who want to push, those people who advocate for the 12-team playoff and want to have the 12-team playoff, because, hey, look at what happened with TCU making it to the championship. Look at Tulane beating USC, right? That gives people this idea of, hey, this is a great story and this thing could happen. My thing is this. You're still going to have some combination of Bama, Georgia, Ohio State. If Clemson can kind of figure out what they got going on recruiting and NIL and transfer portal wise, they can return kind of back to being that group of 4 that rotate winning the championship all the time.
Yeah.
But you're expanding it to 12, and you're still going to have those same 3 teams, right? You'll have a cool story for 1 round, but it will not be anything you won't see. I'm going to go old school.
You don't think there's going to be any parity in like that 12? You think at the end of the day, it's going to still come down to the 4 that would have put?
Who wins it? Yes. Right. Again, you're going to see. So let me see if I can find this real quick. You're going to see like some interesting teams because I posted in a group chat today what the 12-team playoff would have looked like.
Yeah, I read the article. Yeah, I read the article. For the most part, the first few years, I mean, it still would have been the same. It's pretty much the same thing. But
I mean, at least, but the matchups would have been interesting. I think that was the thing for me. The matchups would have been interesting in that you would have had like Clemson. I don't know if it was Clemson, Tennessee, because I think Clemson would have had the bye, which I think sucks because they were not a bye-worthy team this year. But
right. I mean, do you think it's partly because of how much we love March Madness that like the idea of like the Cinderella, or the idea of like, because if we're being honest, like in the college football playoff or post BCS, I mean, there really hasn't been a huge amount of different teams winning the national championship, And so people have said since like the Saban dynasty and Georgia's come along now, Clemson won 2, or did they just got 1?
Clemson won 2. They won 2. They had a thriller. They had the thriller, which when Watson hit Renfro to win it. And then you had the other one where Trevor Lawrence and them, I think, dog walked Bama.
Yeah, they beat. So I mean, so I wonder if it's just because infatuation we have with March Madness, which I do enjoy watching March Madness, but I don't, in basketball, it's so much different,
it's 5
just,
guys.
It's 5 guys, and it's style of play. It's different things like that in basketball where you can pose very difficult matchups, But I think you would see KU, North Carolina, Duke, and some of these Arizona teams with a lot more national championships if we just did a Sweet 16.
Absolutely.
If we
So here's the thing, right? I'm looking at the matchup. So under the 12-team playoff this year, you would have TCU versus Tulane, which would have been fun, right? You get a chance for both of those schools to advance. Ohio State versus Penn State. Look, Ohio State
Tulane would have got TCU up out of here. No.
They have a better quarterback, and so I completely agree with the idea that Tulane could have won that game. Alabama would have hosted USC, so that's fun, and then Tennessee, K-State. So I think in that first round, you get some interesting matchups that can create stories, which honestly, all these shows want is content. So again, TCU and Tulane is a good story. If Tulane wins, they're a 12 seed, right? They're the plucky 12 seed. Tulane, the AAC.
They go to Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all fun and games until the Empire shows up with the Death Star.
Yeah.
I mean, so then they get destroyed by Georgia, and okay, we move on, right? So I get it, but to me, in any good season, in any season, you're going to have 3, maybe 4 teams who can realistically claim a shot to a title, and the other 8 are just, again, they're there to fill TV time. And to me, you could have made all those. To me, those are all bowl games I would have watched anyway, without having a playoff component tied to it. So
I just think it provides, the lack of the opt-outs, it makes, because those teams, there's a lot of those teams, that had a lot of opt-outs, guys you watched all year, not playing bowl games, different things like that. So, yeah, but we know what it's for. It's for money. It's for money. It's for storylines. You talked about Marvin Harrison getting injured. It's like, oh, now he's got to play 3 games. You know what I mean? Like, you go in that first game, you get in the injury. Who knows what can happen? Like, who knows what can happen? Georgia's Stetson Bennett might have a Missouri-type performance in one of his. I guess it would be how's it work? You got 4 byes, and then you got 8 teams, right?
Right.
You got 4 teams, and you got
bye.
Yeah. So essentially, anybody that has a bye is still in a 4-team playoff. Essentially,
yes.
So anybody that gets a bye is still basically doing a 4-team college football playoff. So that doesn't really change anything from So it's not even providing an extra game for those powers that be, that are winning their conference championships.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you hit on something about more money. And I'm not going to get on my soapbox for too long on this. More money, and none of it goes to the kids who, if they don't get rid of conference championship games, are playing an NFL close to an NFL schedule.
Hell, they're playing as many games as most NFL players are playing. Because if you're looking at like games played from like all of our favorite NFL players, it's usually right around 14 if it's not a quarterback. Like the way injuries and everything are going.
Man, so if you play in that quarterfinal round and you just happen to make it to the championship game, let's just say you played in your conference title game and you lost, right? So you don't get the benefit of a bye if you're not in the top 4. That's a 13th game. Quarterfinals 14th, semifinal 15th, championship. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. That's crazy to me that you're going to add, like, I think might have been $4 billion is like, that's the revenue that could be generated yearly by having this 12-team playoff. None of it goes to the kids. None of it goes to the actual labor that's putting the product on the field. I'm going to leave it at that, man. Like, y'all put pressure on these schools to pay the kids. You want to stop NIL? You want to at least make NIL less harmful as it is right now? Force the schools to have to come out of pocket to pay the kids. But I'll leave it at that, man. Y'all let us know what y'all think about the game. And also, again, I'm gonna try to clip this down and post this. But because A Ward had a brilliant idea. What is the battle rap equivalent of what happened in a national championship game? I know he brought up A Ward and Colossus. I'm trying to think of some other ones off the top of my head, but nothing's like
Charlie Clips and T-Rex.
Charlie Clips and T-Rex. Like, yes, What is the battle rap equivalent of what happened in the national title game, man? Y'all hit us up at Brains and Bars. Let us know what y'all think about that. All right, man. So let's jump into NFL. Wild card weekend is getting ready to go down. I guess super wild card weekend because there's 3 games. And so we'll start in order. We'll start with San Francisco and Seattle going down in San Francisco. That is the first game of the weekend. So who you got, man? San Francisco versus Seattle. I think right now, last time I checked, the spread was San Francisco getting 10.5.
Yeah, I think we talked about that last night. I thought that was a little disrespectful to the Seahawks. I mean, granted, the Seahawks have kind of like limped into the playoffs, I would say. I don't think that I've seen them be very good as they were during a stretch this year over the last few games. But anytime you've seen a team in your conference twice and you get to play them a third time, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, it's a divisional rival. It's a team you know very well. 10 points is kind of a wild, wild. I would put it at 6.5. I'd add it about 6.5, for the Niners.
Yeah, so I think what they're looking at, although the second game was a lot more competitive. The first game, they blew them out they won by 20. Game was not competitive. The only touchdown they scored was on the special teams, I believe, kickoff return. The second game, they maybe fourth quarter was the first offensive touchdown they scored against the Niners in the 2 games. And so I think they're assuming you've beaten them pretty handily the first 2 games. And the way they're playing right now, I could see why the pessimist in me is going to take the Seahawks. I'm a sports pessimist. I gotta pick the worst. And if they happen to win the game, they've exceeded my expectations. But
I'm taking the Niners. I'm taking the Niners by 10. I'm taking them by 10.
Man, I can't listen.
I just think that defense, if the Rams defense last week had the Seahawks needing overtime, and that defense is they're just so good, man.
I'll say this. Yeah, I think yes. Although Tyler Lockett did not play in the second game, and right now, Deommodore Lenoir, who plays opposite Charvarius Ward, who's had, to me, an all-pro type season, signed in the offseason from Kansas City. Deommodore Lenoir is the mark right now. They are picking on him.
Is Mosley injured? He's out for the year, isn't he?
He's out for the year. I think it's either ACL or Achilles. I know it's lower leg injury. Right? So, Cardinals, second play from scrimmage, flea flicker, throws a jump ball to AJ Green.
Looking like vintage.
Right. AJ Green looked like vintage AJ Green.
What?
Then threw him to the ground on the way to
the end zone. Jumped over him like the dogs do in those little things.
Oh man. All bad. So again, I think that's a concern. And you have Tyler Lockett who's going to play in that game. Pete Carroll's already playing the poor, woe is us. He's like, unfortunately, we got the Niners. So he's already going to be selling his team on. Nobody's going to give you a chance. Unlike Georgia, by the way. Listen. Nobody believed in you, Georgia. Nobody believed. Y'all said we were going to be 7-5. Who said y'all were going to be 7-5? Point them out. I was having this conversation.
Pretty sure they were consensus preseason to win the East. Listen. Everybody.
Listen. We were having this conversation in another group chat about people getting on TV and talking crazy and making crazy predictions and not having to face any consequences for those predictions, right? So if anybody got on Al Gore's internet and said that Georgia was going to be 7-5, please call them out. Please point them out, and I want their credentials revoked. They can't talk sports anymore. They need to lose their job. I don't normally call for people to get fired, but yes, you should be fired if you call for Georgia to be 7-5 this year. All right, back to this game. Pete Carroll's playing the nobody believes in us card all week long. He's going to be pushing that. And listen, I expect the worst. So I'm going to pick Seattle by 3. They're going to kick a field goal. They're going to break my heart. And
now I will say this much: Brock Purdy has been great, but he's still a rookie quarterback. You know what I mean? Like there is a chance that all of a sudden, Superman looks like Clark Kent so like that's the tough thing is like, yeah, he looks poised. I believe their offense they're going to put him in positions to succeed. They have weapons and everything, but you just never know. I mean, it's a 7th round quarterback playing his fifth NFL game? 6th?
It'll be 6th. It'll be 6th.
Yeah.
So I'll say this for Brock. I think that there's something to be said for playing 4 years of high quality Division I football, a high level, right? I think that has helped him be as successful as he has been. Whereas Trey Lance, with the injury, he basically has not played a full season since 2019.
Yeah.
Right. So we're entering 4 years of him playing competitive football. And then then he was playing at North Dakota State. No offense to North Dakota State. They lost the championship game to South Dakota State, but it's not playing at Iowa State or at
shout out to South Dakota State. That was their first national championship.
Shout out to them. And so 2 months ago, if you would have asked me what the 49ers should do or what's going to happen with their quarterback situation, I would have told you that they need to do everything they can to re-sign Jimmy Garoppolo because he was starting to play like the guy they traded for.
Yeah.
Now, Brock Purdy is, no matter what happens, even if they lose this first round, no matter what happens, Brock Purdy has to start the season as QB1 and Trey Lance has to be the backup.
I don't know if it's a no matter what happens. I mean, if he goes in there and throws 3 picks or something like that, I don't know if it's a no matter what happens. But I do think that if they go in there, and he's competitive and plays well again, that he starts out. Yeah, he starts out. Trey Lance has done nothing to earn the first team, reps. And Jimmy Garoppolo is just odd man out. He's got to go somewhere,
Facts. And I think the bidding war between Vegas, the Jets, the Dolphins is going to be one to watch to see who gets Jimmy Garoppolo to be in their uniform. And the Dolphins. I said the Dolphins. Yeah. So between those 3 teams, it's going to be a big one. All right. So next game on the docket. This is the nightcap on Saturday. Chargers versus Jags. So they have faced each other once this year. Week 2.
Jaguars smoked them.
38-10. 38-10 win for the Jags in week 2. So Chargers getting healthy, playing better, some of their better ball. I know the Jags versus the Titans wasn't their best effort, but I'm going to roll with the Jags on this one. I think them being home, I just think for some reason, I don't have a good reason, right? I don't have any data or any stats to back up why I'm picking them, but I'm going to take the Jags on this one by 4.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chargers. I'm taking the Chargers on a game-winning field goal. I just think that when it comes down to it, they're better offensively, and I don't know if their stats back this up, but I would say they're semi-equal defensively. So you're right. Keenan Allen's playing, Mike Williams playing, Austin Eckler's there. You got weapons. Herbert to me is the better quarterback. And I just feel like, I felt like that the Titans could have very much beat the Jaguars last week. Now granted, the Broncos did very much beat the Chargers last week. They pulled starters, I think maybe 4th quarter or something like that. But yeah, I think the Chargers are just a better team, and I'm going Chargers a game-winning field goal.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess here's the thing for me with the Chargers. The Chargers are a team that should have won. They should have more victories than they had this year. I think they won. They ended up 9-8 or 10-8.
10-7. They were 10-7.
10-7, right.
Yeah, because they were one game better than the Jaguars. Jaguars were 9-8.
So they should have had at least 12 wins, in my opinion. Should have had at least 12 wins.
In this division with the Raiders and the Broncos, yeah, the Chargers should have had 12 wins.
Should have had 12 wins. That's number 1. Number 2, they're the Chargers, man. To me, the Chargers in that same spot that the Chiefs were like when Mahomes first burst on the scene, where it's just like, okay, you have this really talented quarterback.
I haven't even mentioned Nick Bosa's back, right?
Joey.
Or Joey,
yes,
my bad.
He's back.
He's back. If they had Nick Bosa, then it'd be by I had to win by 10. But yeah, Joey Bosa is very good too. But yeah, they're getting healthy.
Yes. But they're the team that has a really talented quarterback, really talented team that should be better than what they are. And yet every time you start to put belief in them, they let you down. And for me, like that's where I was with the Chiefs with Mahomes. Like for me to accept them as a great team, they literally going to have to prove it to me. Like I've got to see them win these games, and it wouldn't shock me. It's not going to shock me if they win the game, but I'm going to roll with.
It wouldn't shock me if the Chargers won 2 games in the playoffs. Honestly,
that means they're beating the Chiefs.
Yeah, no, that would probably shock me.
That means they're beating the Chiefs. And look, they will. So here's
the thing, because technically, if what is the 6? What is this? The 6?
Ravens, Ravens, Bengals is the 3-6, and Dolphins, Bills is the 2-7.
So yeah, if the Dolphins, that's not happening.
I mean, yes,
that's not happening.
And so
unless Bridgewater or Tua gets back, but they don't win it with no Skylar Thompson. I know that much. Ain't no way in hell. It might be 65-7, bro. It might be 65-7.
So yeah. So I mean, like they just got to prove it to me, man. Like they're a talented team. They should be better than what they were. They lose games they shouldn't. And the thing is, right? They could come in and smoke. No, they could. Well, you know what's going to happen? They're going to play terribly and squeak by the Jaguars. They'll go to Kansas City, and that game will be like this back and forth overtime thriller.
It's always a field goal game against it. I mean, I think we played the Chargers to a field goal every freaking time, man. It's always a field goal.
They will be, and it's like they turn into like one of the best teams of all time when they play Kansas City.
Yep.
But when they play everybody else, it is mediocre. It is Brandon Staley. What are you doing? Justin Herbert can't complete a pass. Running game stink. Like, I don't get it. I really do not get it. But yes, I want to take the Jags. You got the Chargers. Let's jump. We don't have to spend too much time on this next game because, like you said, if they don't
Buffalo,
if Tua doesn't play, it's a dub. It's a dub. Like,
yeah.
And listen.
Honestly, if Tua plays, it's a dub. It might be a better situation with Teddy Bridgewater.
No, I don't think so. I think if Tua plays and they can keep him from hitting his head on the turf or taking any shots to the head, that game that they played late in the season was it's top 5 game of the season. That was a really good game. And if Mike McDaniel would have kept running the football, they likely win that game. Now, Raheem Mostert I think he broke a finger. And so he did. His availability is going to be in question for the game. Tua did not practice today. If he does not practice tomorrow, he will not play in the game. So tomorrow is the major. This is it. This is the day to watch. Yeah. If he clears concussion protocol and returns to practice tomorrow, he has the ability or the option to play on Sunday. I'm sorry. If he doesn't, he is out, and it's either going to be Skylar Thompson or Teddy Bridgewater. So I'm going to assume. So selfishly, I'm going to admit I'm someone who said that Tua needs to consider retirement. 3 concussions in one season is scary, especially one where you have his fingers doing. I can't remember the technical term. He should consider retirement, but selfishly, I'm like, if he can pass concussion protocol, you let him play because he's going to give you the best chance to win. I feel very bad saying that. I don't feel like a good person saying that. But as a competitive person who wants to win, Tua, put your brain on the line one more time for us.
Put your brain on the line.
and hopefully we'll do everything we can protect you. Don't be a hero, right? Protect yourself also. Don't be a hero. But yeah, we need you one more time out there because I think we can beat this team if you're out there. And so, but yeah, other than that, I got Buffalo on that one, man.
Yeah, I got Buffalo by a lot. If Tua doesn't play, by a lot. If Tua plays, I still got him winning. So
I can respect that. All right. Next up on the afternoon game, Giants versus Losos Vikings. So this was a game that took place late in the season. Also, 61-yard Greg Joseph field goal to win. I believe the Vikings are 3-point favorites at home versus the Giants. Who you got?
I got the Vikings. I got the Vikings winning this game. I got them winning by 4. I'd say by 4. I got the Vikings winning by 4. To me, it shouldn't be that close. I think the Vikings are clearly the better team. I like Daniel Jones. I don't love Daniel Jones, but I mean, Galladay and Slayton and Bear Reichter. I don't know their whatever their tight end's last name is.
Did you just make their name up?
No, I think it starts with a B or something like that. I mean, it's Saquon and the rest of them. You know what I mean? Like as far as any kind of playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, you know. And so I got the Vikings by 4. I think it shouldn't be close. And that's why I said if the Giants win, I think it's considered an upset.
Okay. All right. Oh man. The Vikings have been the TCU of pro sports of the NFL this year. Do I try? So I'll say I'm going to take the Vikings, and I'm going to say by 7. I'm going to say they win by a touchdown. I think what Brian Daboll has done should put him in consideration for Coach of the Year. I think that should go to Kyle Shanahan, but I think he should be top 3 for Coach of the Year.
The third.
I think Doug Peterson's got to be up there. I think that Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's got to get crazy consideration for a top 3, just because
Andy Reid's got to get crazy consideration.
Andy Reid will not, but he should get crazy consideration as Coach of the Year, because I think I saw a stat that said that they were like 7th on the list for most snaps by rookie players from a team. You know, their entire secondary at times is well, that's not true, but at certain points, both your cornerbacks are rookies. One of your safeties, if Cook is out there, is a rookie. Leo Chenal's getting snaps. Karlaftis is getting heavy minutes. Sky Moore, right? Pacheco. So I mean, like a large part of their team and some key contributors are rookies. And this should have been a rebuilding year. So I get someone saying that the Chiefs were not going to win the division. I think someone like Bart Scott saying that they were not going to make the playoffs. I think Peter Schrager on Good Morning Football had them finishing last in the division. So again, we just had that quick talk about their consequences. You should, when you pick the Chiefs to not only not make the playoffs but finish last in their division, you should have to get up for work, get dressed, go into the studio, sit on camera. You can't talk. You can't talk. And every time someone mentions your name, they go, "Oh, there's Peter Schrager who said the Chiefs were going to finish last in the division.
Right.
He can't talk today." Anyway, and just keep anytime that should be there needs to be consequences. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, you're right. Andy Reid has to get some big consideration for coach. There have been some great coaching jobs done this year in the league.
And the Eagles coach, Nick Sirianni or whatever his name is.
Sirianni should get consideration too. Absolutely. And he might win it because they ended up with the number 1 seed. But to me, it's Shanahan, 3rd string quarterback, winning the division, top 2 seed. That's kind of hard to bypass. Yeah, man, I'm gonna go Vikings. And shout out to Kevin. Is it Kevin O'Connell? I think it's Kevin O'Connell.
Yes.
I mean, look,
Tom Brady's backup, right?
Yes, great job by him as well. So it's a lot of deserving candidates this year. All right, next game on the slate, we got the Dolphins and the Bills.
No, we already did that. We got Baltimore and Cincinnati.
Ravens Bengals. Ravens Bengals.
Yeah.
So
when will we know? When will we know if Lamar's playing or
not? Did he practice today? I think he's got to practice tomorrow. If he doesn't practice tomorrow, he's not playing. He's working hard. I mean, all of these. I mean, this from Mike Florio, Ravens truly do not know if Lamar Jackson will be ready for playoffs, in great spirits, working hard to return. I'm going to say that's a no. Like, none of this looks positive. At least these headlines do not look positives. And Tyler Huntley, he was coming back from an injury also. So, yeah. I mean, I'm going to go Bengals by a lot.
Me too. Yeah, I don't see that happening. I think that the Bengals, they just played them last week, you know, and I think the Bengals could have beat them by a lot last week too. But yeah, I'm going Bengals by a lot as well. I'm going Bengals by 14 if Lamar Jackson doesn't play. Yeah,
I'm going to jump ahead to the divisional round real quick because, first of all, shout out, prayers to Damar Hamlin. Continue prayers. A lot of great progress has been made, and hopefully that progress will continue to be good things in a positive trend as he recovers from what happened to him last Monday. All of those good vibes end the moment that ball is kicked off between the Bengals and the Bills. I don't know if you saw this story, but Mike Florio, these are anonymous sources, but he had a story that the Bengals wanted to continue the game either Tuesday or maybe even Wednesday to try to get it played because they understood what that game meant for potential number 1 seed. At best, at worst, the number 2 seed, because if they beat the Bills, they would have been the number 2, and then they are coming back to Cincinnati instead of them going to Buffalo. And they were miffed, again, according to Mike Florio's sources, that when they found out that the Bills flew back to Buffalo, they did not understand why they left. You had Joe Mixon with the celebration with the coin that, about the coin flip. And yeah, I think the Bengals feel like they got screwed. And if they play the Bills, they're going to have something to prove. So just something to look forward. Look towards potential next round. All right. Final game on the wild card weekend docket. Surprise, surprise. Monday Night Football. It is the Patriots. I'm talking Patriots. Sorry. I got Tom Brady's old team. The Bucks and the Cowboys going down this weekend. Who you got in that one?
This will be my upset. I think I'm taking the Buccaneers over the Cowboys. A lot of people say it's not considered an upset until Dallas, it's Dallas Cowboys. They're bound to let their players down, let their fans down. But I think it is an upset. I mean, the way I've watched Tom Brady play multiple times this year, the way I've seen the Buccaneers play, the defense that's been pretty consistent for the Cowboys, I think it is an upset, even though it's at Tampa Bay. Playing on the road in the playoffs is tough, but when you get to play on the road in Tampa, it's a little bit easier than having to play at Buffalo or at New York or at Green Bay. It's a little different. So I am taking Tampa Bay by a game-winning field goal.
Shout out to my uncle, who I don't know how long he's been watching, but as soon as the Cowboys are mentioned, that was him with the Dallas Cowboys for life.
Yeah, the star, the bat signal with the star appeared in the sky. He popped in the chat. Shout out to you, Unc.
So I got the Cowboys. I got the Cowboys winning this game. And it's not because, my family, I have family members that root. I'll throw that back up so you can see it. I have family members that root for.
Hey, you might want to take that L then. If you can get Sean Payton out of it, you might take the L. But go ahead.
I think their performance against Washington was overblown.
Yes, I did too.
I think they were scoreboard watching, and once they saw that game start to slip away against the Giants with the Eagles and the Giants, I don't think they cared what happened. I think they went through the motions. I think they weren't trying to put really anything on tape from that the Bucs could watch from last week. And I think you're going to see a different team show up. And I will give credit to the Bucs. They have played better lately. I do not think that is going to be enough. I think that pass rush is going to get after Brady.
Yeah.
And he's going to look like the guy we saw bouncing passes to open receivers, not being able to connect with Mike Evans.
Brady just doesn't have the guys that you can throw the ball to And like guys that can turn a 5-yard pass into, a 15, 20-yard run,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
What's happening?
Kentucky just lost to South Carolina at home.
Hey, John Calipari might get fired.
South Carolina is 7-8, 0-2 in the SEC, and Tennessee just beat them by 30 at South Carolina. And they just beat Kentucky at home in Kentucky.
So I saw someone mention that John Calipari might be like, this is nobody like who was connected, but they just said, hey, will John Calipari go to Texas? And that might be a move he has to make because Kentucky's going to fire him if he doesn't leave of his own accord.
They're a football school now. They got number 1 pick, number 1 quarterback in the NFL draft. Kentucky's a football school.
Let me hold on. Speaking of that, number 1 pick, if you're the Bears, do you take Bryce Young and trade Fields?
No. I trade the number 1 pick down.
I can rock with that. I'm gonna tell you, like I told you last night, I'm gonna tell Justin Fields, like, we're gonna act like we're considering trading you, but we have no intention.
Yeah.
Unless someone hits us with an offer we can't refuse. And then maybe the Colts say, we'll give you, I think they have the 4th overall pick. We'll give you the 4th overall pick, and you will take Justin Fields off. Or I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, but back to Dallas real quick. I think, like I said, I think Dallas is going to win that game. I think they're going to play to the next round. I think they go back to Philly, and I think that's going to be a really good game when they match up with Justin Hurts. Arrested
Justin Hurts. Arrested
Jalen Hurts. Sorry, I messed you up too.
You got me.
Arrested Jalen Hurts. I think that's going to be a really good game. One of the best.
He didn't play very well against the Giants.
I mean, but I don't think he was ready to play. I think he had to play so they could save. They could save that number 1 overall seed. Shout out to Tavita.
Yeah, I'll send 9 for Fields.
I mean, hey, it's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
So you're saying that so then they have Bryce Young, and then they get the 9th pick too. So
yeah.
I might need a 9. I might need a 9 in a second rounder too.
I don't think Justin has played well enough to get anything other than that. So again, if the Colts say we'll give you the 4 for Justin, you hang up that means you can get Bryce Young and you got the 4th overall, but you got picks 1 and 4.
Yeah. You might have to do something like that.
Yeah. You get Bryce Young, and then maybe
the Colts need to stop grasping quarterbacks.
Man, it is not work for them at all.
No.
At all. Yeah, I agree with Tavita. If Dallas loses, I do think Sean Payton is Jerry's gonna be. He's got. I'm pretty sure in the press box, he's probably already got it on speed dial. If they lose that game.
Oh yeah, that man Jerry is a wild one.
He is. Dak is not on trial. Dak is. He's making too much money. McCarthy's on trial. If he loses, he's out of there. But Dak will be the quarterback no matter who the coach is next year in Dallas. All right, man. Y'all let us know what y'all think, man. Who y'all got in these games? We made our picks. Hopefully, when we meet again, I want to be wrong on one of my picks. Hopefully, I am. And we'll see what happens. Again, hit us up, man. That national championship game, 65-7 beatdown. What is the battle rap equivalent? We already had A-Ward versus Colossus, T-Rex versus Charlie Clips. I don't know if KCJ and Twerk count. I mean, I don't think KCJ was dominant enough in that battle, but Twerk was so bad. Yeah. But yeah,
that was more like a 17-0.
Seven, that's hilarious. But yo, let us know what y'all think, man. That's our show for tonight. We appreciate everyone who commented, who joined us live, man. We'll be back next week to recap everything that happened in the wild card weekend. I am A-Ward merch.com. Everything Loso.
Everything Loso.com.
Yeah, everything Loso.com. I am A-Ward merch.com for everything for those two gentlemen. You in a couple of weeks, about
Big K
now, right? Big K in Atlanta on RBE. Good luck to you in that endeavor.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see if we have some battle rap stuff to talk about next time around. But until then, it's been a black
and white
thing, man. We'll holler at y'all next week.
Deuces, y'all. Turn on this K-State game. 3 minute, 3